the processes reasonable people can go through in order to find out and come to agreements and terms and understand, those processes are all open for augmentation and some computer help and some about the processes they use, and the computer help can actually start diagramming the relationship between different facts and considerations, etc., to offer help. So these are things that are just there to evolve and evolve into our way of working. We need to evolve the augmentation system involved in this situation, so it gets more and more effective for reasonable people to come to an understanding that they agree on. This is something that is just not gotten into the dialogue out there, the things about that augmentation system, and that it's really capability that was the central focus that will help drive all this. Well, there are many, of course, an innumerable number of identifiable capabilities that are involved in the world, and so the collective capability is even more complex than individual capabilities. It involves lots of people being able to do lots of things, and as you improve that, it's complex. One can only look and say, well, the invention of the alphabet and the subsequent invention of the printing press and all of the things that went about with it to get to be so that we have books and reading and communication that way in school systems, huge amount of social and some technical and business evolution. So there's anybody that at the time dawn of the alphabet or the dawn of the first printing means could have anticipated all of that. But how long did it take? And today we have situations where the associated technologies can evolve so much more faster, and they offer so much more faster, I'm sorry. Associated technologies can evolve with much faster and in surprising ways of what they can add to capability. So it's a whole new frontier of all kinds of complex turns and potentials to explore. So how do we get the realization prevalent in our society that there really is significant improvements in that important collective capability to be had? Very, very important improvements. And that if they're really potential, gosh, it's important to society, hugely important. How do we get going after them? How do we wake up the world about it? It's your fault. The ownership of a problem is a very significantly different thing from the ownership of its solution. And yes, that sort of factor really comes into this pursuit of augmenting this collective capability to cope with complex problems. And the ownership of a lot of the solutions can get into real problems as they get mixed in with ownership of the problem. And thus one comes about of saying, how might it get as we start developing, extending our vocabulary, our natural language vocabulary about how we talk about the ways and the means and the expressions and the processes and the methods, that if that vocabulary gets tied up with proprietary things such that, oops, you can't use that verb because I have it patented. You can imagine what a terrible containment that would be in the evolution of our thinking in our world. So we have to be careful about what it is that we tie down with proprietary means so that we don't hobble ourselves. And there's some quite obvious things in our current emergence of our ways of using computers